Hey guys, and welcome once again to the battlefield as the mighty King of the Woods is going to betray his Wood Elf kind and bring instead the more industrious, the Empire, up against, I believe it was called King Smoke, so he definitely wants all of the fire today, and the mighty Lizardmen forces. And you guys know I'm a big fan of the Dino Boys, but before we hop into their build, let's go through this glorious row after row of stalwart men of the Empire. We have Sigma Sons and a bucket ton of swordsmen to help them hold the front line down. We also have some halberdiers in the secondary row. Massive fan of halberdiers in general, and I think in this matchup, they are really, really top notch. They have the armor piercing to crack those thick, scaly hides of the Saurus warriors, but at the same time can do decent damage to enemy cavalry, which is quite common in this matchup, and large creatures. For the damage output, we do have the Silver Bullets, one of the best units in the entire game, in my humble little duck opinion, able to just obliterate the opponent from range, and the fact they have Stalk means it's quite hard to spot them. We also have some more handgunners. We're actually going to pause the battle as we don't want to miss the first shots of the Tempelhof Luminark, the Regiment of Renown, and it's looking pretty damn badass, I got to admit. Look at this guy just absolutely crazed, shooting the shot, 360 no-scoping into the other realms. Now, he can do some pretty good damage. The Tempelhof Luminark, and all Luminarks for that matter, are very high risk, high reward. They're pretty expensive, basically useless in combat and short range, but if they can pop shots off at big dinosaurs, they can really rack up some value. We have double pistoliers as well here in the back. One unit of Empire Knights to help support them. Pistoliers won't do that much damage. I prefer Outriders personally, but I do see a lot of Empire players bring Pistoliers in this matchup, so I'm sure there is a load of logic to it. We have an Empire Captain down here in the centre. On the right-hand side, a Jade Wizard with Earthblood as well as the Dwellers below. And then we have the bane of many a foe, Volkmar the Grim, looking actually relatively happy today on his chariot, coming with all his goodies, including his regeneration. I love the little bit of metal he has on here with Sigma written across it. He is definitely a big old Sigma fanboy. For the forces here of the Dino Boys, we have a glorious little flank overload, a tactic I really do highly recommend to basically everyone, experienced players, new players. Try the flank overload. It may seem a little bit basic and you want to do something a bit more fancy, and that's absolutely fine, but honestly, flank overloads, they're simple, but they work really well. We have a load of fast heavy hitters on this flank, double feral cold ones backing up 2 units of cold one riders and double skink skirmishers. Main battle lines, nothing to look at really. We have some skinks, we have some red crested skinks, 1 unit of chameleons, and double Saurus with spears. But there is the goodest of all boys on the battlefield today. We have Krokgar riding dirty, of course, on my favourite mount, Grimlock. Let's give him a little neck scratch just to let him know he is the bestest of all dinos, coming in with Hand of the Gods, as well as all of his good boons and debuffs and buffs and all that standard stuff. We do have the Skink Oracle on the left-hand side, one of the most expensive monsters in the game, but boy oh boy, can it pack a massive punch. Coming with Fireball and Earthblood, this bad boy will set you back probably about 2,300 gold off the top of my head, so he needs to make his value back, but boy oh boy, can he do so. If he's able to shoot at Volkmar for, you know, good 20 seconds, he's going to eviscerate him. He does so much damage with his double shot attacks. Lizardmen forces going to be getting real aggressive here, starting to push towards the Empire, which I certainly like to see. Crocky G did manage to juke that first shot from the Luminark, and this is kind of the main problem with the Luminark. Yes, it is going to test your opponent's micro, but if they're on board with it, they should be able to avoid most of the shots. And it looks like we actually have the Skink Oracle versus Luminark fight. Oh no, it looks like the Luminark missed, but so does the Oracle. No damage done either way, just wasting winds of magic as well as ammunition. Volkmar is getting a little bit leery. He's pushing forward. He needs to be careful. There's a lot of cavalry here, which can pin him in place. And a load of skinks as well, firing in, poisoning him, and slowing him down. The feral cold ones actually they're kind of the cleverest of girls right now, going super balls to the wall aggressive, and actually catching some of these pistoliers. They need to continue to move back. Looks like they're not in skirmish mode, which could be a big mistake, because now in comes Crocky G. He's going to be jumping straight in onto a Volkmar, and you can buff Volkmar all you want. Krokgar is by far the superior combatant, and being in the universe should be able to drag him down, but a lovely Dwellers below comes in by the Jade Wizard. They're already starting to rake in those kills, and that's basically going to get rid of both these units of Cold One Riders with that one cast. I mean, Volkmar's doing a good job as well, but my oh my, that Wizard has just gone up, I think, to 35 kills on Cold Ones. That is disgusting, but Volkmar really is taking quite a pounding right now by Crocky G. In the main fight, it looks like the Skink Oracle has indeed been clipped. Skinks are bouncing against swordsmen. It's going to be not the greatest fight in the middle. Neither side really getting the upper hand. It's all going on, however, on this flank. A banishment tries to force off the Skink skirmishers, but the Cold Ones are snapping at the heels and the throats of those horses, and down Volkmar goes. Kroq-Gar rules supreme. He's now can turn his attention to the Empire Captain as well as the Jade Wizard. If he uses his Feral Cold Ones correctly here, look, unfortunately looks like they are rampaging, he should be able to trap these boys in place. Skink Oracle comes with a lovely shot onto the Jade Wizard, who is already running for their life. But the Silver Bullets and Handgunners are now opening up. Skink Oracles do not have the longest range right now, and a lovely little net of Amator comes in from the bound ability of the Tempelhof Luminark. It lines up that shot and misses. Misses a stand-in target. Man, I get so ragey at my Tempelhofs when they do this. How do you miss a stand-in target? It's a giant dinosaur, but it is a miss. And now Kroq-Gar, if he lines up a Hand of the Gods, which he does actually do, is going to make the Tempelhof pay for its miss there. Skink Oracle as well coming in with some lovely shooting, and actually does force the Tempelhof off the field, at least for now. Jade Wizard has managed to return. I'd like to see some Feral Cold Ones go over here to really finish them off, and it looks like some are in hot pursuit right now, and Kroq-Gar is really carrying the squad right now. Balance power is quite heavily in favour of the Lizardmen, and I can certainly see why. They're slowly grinding down the infantry fight. The only thing that's going really strong right now for the Empire is the Silver Bullets and Handgunners, who are roasting the Skink Oracle. Well, they really are fancying some Troglodon meat tonight, and the Skink Oracle is going to have to run for its life, but it can come back, of course, and potentially heal up. We can see the hollow husk of Volkmar and his what was once a mighty chariot down in the sand, but that will only make the men of the Empire fight even harder. Halberdiers are trying to force off Kroq-Gar, who is going after the Tempelhof, which I really don't hate this play whatsoever. Get off the field to stop it coming back and shooting. But he looks like he's actually going to change his target and go after the Handgunners, which again is a good target. We have Feral Cold Ones pouring in. Skinks are dealing with the Halberdiers. So everything's going pretty good for the Dino Boys. But it looks like the Tempelhof Luminark has indeed come back and could certainly line up some shots. Kroq-Gar's not super unhealthy at the moment, but 2,700 HP will really go down quickly if he takes a shot or two from the Tempelhof. Jade Wizard is still alive. It looks like the Skink Oracle has come back. The Tempelhof Luminark lines up a shot, and oh my god, just took like 2,000 to 3,000 HP damage. That is insane. Just obliterates my beautiful boy Kroq-Gar. With that, the balance of power switches for the first time this game in the favour of the Empire. A lovely Dwellers Below is catching both Skink skirmishers and going to force them off. The MVP so far, definitely this Jade Wizard. Tempelhof Luminark, oh no. It's going to be lining up the shot on the Skink Oracle, who at this point is already forced back down to 824 HP, and now is indeed dead. It looks like the Dino Infantry Force did finally push its way into the back line. You can see the Silver Bullets have gone down, but it took them slightly too long here. I don't think there's any way back in it for them. There's a lot of swordsmen left around. The Handgunners are once again active, and the Tempelhof Luminark can kite a little bit. We do have Feral Cold Ones in the distance, however. Empire Knights are going to come with a clattering charge into the rear of these Saurus Spearmen, who are currently occupied up against the Halberds. And yeah, that's not going to go well for them. They do try to turn to countercharge, but you can't really countercharge a horse, at least not very easily, as it does ramrod them, and they go down with a bit of a yelp there. We are going to see a lovely use here of the net, just to buy time for the Tempelhof Luminark to retreat. Handgunners are back online. It looks like the Silver Bullets did manage to make a brief escape, and when they return, yeah, this is all over for the Dino Boys. I love the Children of the Old Ones, but there is simply no coming back, and it looks like the Lizardman player is going to tip his hat to his opponent and bow out. Awesome game. It said close victory, but that was pretty damn smoke. I think King Smoke actually did a pretty good job there. It looks like LPF. I haven't heard of that clan. I know of LP. Maybe it's a kind of a ranking system they have. But anyway, King Smoke, you actually played really well up until kind of the last quarter of the game, where King of the Woods really got back into the game due to that Tempelhof Luminark holding the side down. He lost Volkmar, his Jade Wizard was on the run, the Handgunners were still stable, but everywhere else the Empire forces were crumbling all around the Tempelhof, which itself was indeed forced off. Kroq-Gar should have gone after it to kill it. I understand hopping on the Handgunners was kind of also a juicy target, so I don't hate that whatsoever. But yeah, not killing the Tempelhof Luminark really did cost poor Grimlock as well as the mighty Kroq-Gar. Damage value is going to be pretty insane on some of these units. The Tempelhof Luminark got 2,014 damage value, not too shabby whatsoever, taking off about half HP of Kroq-Gar and finishing off the Skink Oracle, though it did miss a ridiculous number of shots, particularly on that netted Skink Oracle, which is really, really terrible. Got Got some sirens going on outside, and that is the symbol for me to say, guys, if you did enjoy this video, don't worry, it's not over yet. We are going to pop into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units. But before we get to that moment, I'd really appreciate if you guys left a big fat juicy thumbs up if you enjoyed what you saw, as well as subscribing to the channel. We do all sorts of glorious Total War Warhammer content here, and I'd love to have you guys along for the ride. There are links down below in the description to my Patreon and Discord. You can support me on Patreon, or on Discord you can submit replays, just like King of the Woods did here. Get involved in tournaments and events that I host. I have slowed down the tournaments a little bit at the moment as we're waiting for a patch, but good news, probably on release of this video actually, I'm doing this video slightly in advance, I believe there is a patch going to be coming out as this video comes out, so that's going to be pretty good news for all of us, I think, and I'm excited to see what changes have been implemented. Comment down below what you thought in the game, yell for Sigma, or do some sad Velociraptor noises if you wanted, you know, whichever side to win. But anyway, back to the damage dealt and damage value. The Tempelhof Luminark, 2014 damage value, 26 kills, good job all round in my humble duck opinion. Outriders really got slaughtered, just a little bit sloppy at the early stages there of King of the Woods, with those Feral Cod ones able to catch them, but I understand he was trying to micro so much at the same time, including switching targets with the Luminark, saving Volkmar, and all of that stuff. Silver Bullets did absolutely fantastic, over 2,000 damage dealt, just consistently pouring that fire on to the big dinos. Empire Knights had to just sacrifice themselves. The other unit handgunners did okay, but nowhere near as well as the Silver Bullets. All of the state troops just did mediocre. They did their job, which is to hold back the Skinks and Saurus, protect the Luminark, which in the end did win them the game. Though I must admit, there is kind of 3 MVPs here. Tempelhof Luminark did really good, Silver Bullets did really good, but likewise the Jade Wizard, 1,352 damage value, 116 kills, but one of the most key parts of the battle was taking out those 2 Cold One Riders. Yes, it didn't save Volkmar, but it took out a load of the mobility for the forces of the Lizardmen in one fell swoop, and that made it much easier to protect the Tempelhof Luminark, as well as those Silver Bullets. Volkmar, 1.3k damage value, not shabby considering he was surrounded by anti-large foes, or decent arm-piercing foes, and Krokgar for the majority of his time on the battlefield. Croco G, an absolute chad as always, just shy of 3,000 damage value, over 7.5k damage dealt, and 24 kills going in there and ripping off the skull of Volkmar to feed Grimlock. Skink Oracle unfortunately didn't pay for itself, but did still do some pretty good sniping on the Jade Wizard, as well as helping to support take down that Tempelhof, or at least attempting to try to. Only 20 kills, but 1,796 damage value. Though that isn't paying for himself, still is relatively impressive. The little Skinks really struggled, including the Chameleon Stalkers, and the Saurus they had so much health in the end, but they were a little bit slow and ponderous into the battlefield, and they couldn't break down that stalwart shield wall formed by the men of the Empire. Little Skinks did okay just to poison Volkmar and allow Krokgar to take him down even quicker. Love the use of Feral Cold Ones. I think they did some pretty good work here. Just shy of 600 damage value and just over 600. Good use and pressure of them, although one unit was forgotten about a little bit, which could have been really well used to hunt down the Silver Bullets. And unfortunately for the Cold Ones, they did fall for that Jade Wizard's nasty trap. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.